Welcome, everyone, to Saltwater Stories, where we explore the truly amazing natural world and the incredible creatures living in it. Today, we're setting our sights on a pretty remote place, a volcanic archipelago where, well, evolution has really run wild, crafting some of the most unique life forms anywhere on Earth. We're going to explore a creature that just completely flips the script on what you expect from a reptile. I mean, picture a lizard. You probably think of something lounging in the sun, right? But this one, it boldly heads into the cold, wild ocean to find its meals. It's genuinely unlike any other reptile out there. And here's the really cool part. It's the world's only lizard that actually lives off the sea. It's the amazing, the magnificent, the totally unique marine iguana.
Yeah, and it's fascinating how our view of them has changed so much. When Charles Darwin first encountered them on his big voyage with the beagle, he wasn't impressed, not at all. He called them hideous-looking creatures. I think even
Oh.
imps of darkness. Pretty
There was darkness, wow.
right. But the very things he found kind of unsettling, their black color, the way they moved, how they seem to just vanish into the waves we now see, are these incredible biological solutions. Solutions for living in a really, really tough environment. They went from being seen as these clumsy lizards to, well, absolute marvels of survival.
Okay, so let's unpack that. From imp of darkness to a symbol of evolution's genius. How did that happen? Let's really get into the secrets of this one-of-a-kind animal and see what its incredible journey can teach us. Looking at pictures of them now, they definitely have this powerful, almost ancient vibe, don't they? What gives them that look?
Oh, absolutely. They look prehistoric. You see that thick, really strong body, surprisingly short legs for a lizard that swims, and this bony plated head. And often they have that really noticeable crest of spines, dorsal spines running all the way down their back onto that long flattened tail.
And the color, mostly black.
Yeah, typically a sort of sooty black or dark gray, which, is a great camouflage against the black volcanic rocks where they live. But it's not just camo. That dark color is also super important for absorbing the sun's heat. They need that warmth.
Right, like little solar panels. And I heard their size can be really different.
Oh, hugely different. It's quite striking, actually, the difference between males and females. The males get much, much bigger. They can reach up to 1.5 meters. That's nearly 5 feet long, and weigh maybe 12 kilos, over 26 pounds.
Wow, that's a big lizard.
It really is. Females are usually less than half that size, maybe 0.6 meters. But what's really fascinating is how even that size and other little things can change from one island to the next across the Galápagos.
So it's like evolution's workshop in action.
Exactly. It's a living laboratory.
Yeah.
Scientists have actually identified different subspecies because they've adapted so specifically to their own island home.
Ugh. So not just one marine iguana, but a whole family, each fine-tuned for its island. Which means we get to talk about the biggest one, right? The one on San Cristobal, the Godzilla marine iguana.
That's the one. Aptly named, given its size and imposing look. It really does look a bit like a mini Godzilla.
Incredible.
And if the size differences are impressive, wait till you hear about the colors.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they're usually dark come breeding season. The males on some islands just explode with color. It's amazing.
Really? Like what?
Well, on Espanola Island, for instance, the males turn these incredibly vibrant shades of like bright red and turquoise green. Against the black rocks, it's stunning.
Wow.
They actually call them Christmas iguanas.
Christmas iguanas. I love that. But why? Why the dramatic costume change?
Well, that's all down to sexual selection. Those bright colors are basically the males showing off, advertising how healthy and fit they are to potential mates. It's a visual signal saying, hey, look at me, I'm strong.
Okay, so their appearance is dramatic, but their everyday life sounds like it's also this constant balancing act, this rhythm between land and sea.
They're ectothermic, right? Cold-blooded.
That's right. They rely entirely on external heat sources, mainly the sun, to regulate their body temperature.
So how does their day typically go?
Well, it starts on land, on those rocky shores. They have to bask in the sun, just soak it up until their internal temperature hits about 36 degrees Celsius, which is around 97 Fahrenheit.
That's specific, huh?
Yeah, they need to reach that optimal temperature before they're even ready to think about going into the ocean for food.
And the ocean there, it's not exactly tropical bathwater, is it?
Definitely not. That's the big challenge. The waters around the Galapagos, thanks to these deep, cold currents welling up, are surprisingly chilly, even though they're full of algae, their food source.
So they heat up, then dive into the cold. How much heat do they lose?
A lot. During a single foraging trip, an iguana can lose as much as 10 degrees Celsius. That's about 18 degrees Fahrenheit from its core body temperature. Wow, so they can't stay in too long.
Exactly. After feeding for a while, they have to get back onto those black lava rocks to bask again, to warm up. And that warming up isn't just about feeling comfortable, it's crucial for digestion. They can't really digest that algae properly if they're too cold. So this whole cycle, heat up, cool down feeding, heat up again, it's the fundamental rhythm of their life.
Like a biological clockwork constantly ticking between sun and sea. And they don't do this alone, right? I've seen pictures. Crowds of them.
Oh, they're incredibly social animals. They gather in these huge colonies, sometimes hundreds, even thousands of them, all packed together on the rocks.
And they pile up literally on top of each other.
They really do. You see these dense piles, almost like a writhing carpet of iguanas.
A writhing carpet. What a description. Is that just about saving space?
No, it's actually a really clever way to conserve heat. By huddling together like that, especially overnight or on cloudy, cooler days, they reduce the amount of body heat each individual loses. It's cooperative thermoregulation.
So, group hugs for survival. That's amazing. It's one of those iconic Galapagos sites, isn't it?
Absolutely unforgettable. It
Yeah.
really drives home how they work together to survive in that environment. And, to really get the marine iguana, you have to appreciate the place itself, the Galapagos Islands.
Mm.
These islands were literally born from volcanic fire, pushed up from the seabed, totally isolated, never connected to a continent.
A blank slate, almost.
Pretty much. Just
Right.
barren lava fields initially. So any life that got there had to adapt in really extreme, unique ways. The marine iguana is maybe ultimate example of that intense evolutionary pressure.
And the ocean currents play a huge role too, right? You mentioned the cold water.
A massive role.
Mm.
The islands sit right where these major currents meet. Crucially, there's the Cromwell Current, this cold, deep current flowing from the west. When it hits the underwater slopes of the islands, it wells up, bringing all these nutrients from the deep ocean to the surface.
Ah, so that's what fuels the algae growth, their food.
Exactly. This upwelling creates incredibly productive waters, leading to these lush underwater fields of algae, perfect iguana food.
But cold. The same current that brings the food makes the water freezing for a reptile.
And that's the core paradox, isn't it? It's like having an all-you-can-eat buffet inside a giant refrigerator.
Ah, good analogy.
All of their amazing adaptations, everything we find so unique about them, is basically an answer to that one big problem. How do you feast in the fridge? It's this constant evolutionary balancing act, between their reptile need for warmth and land and their total dependence on the cold sea for food, a real tug of war.
So their home base is really that strip right where the land meets the sea.
Precisely. You find them almost exclusively along the really rugged coastlines, the intertidal zones, those rocky shores, sometimes mangroves or beaches too. But their whole world revolves around that edge. The black volcanic rocks are their essential solar charging stations.
They're basking spots.
Right, and right next door is their cold but rich underwater pantry.
But they need land for more than just basking, don't they? What about nesting?
Ah, yes. That's another challenge where land becomes crucial. The females need soft sand or volcanic ash to dig their nests and lay their eggs. And suitable spots aren't always right on the coast. Sometimes they have to travel inland, maybe up to 2 kilometers, which is well over a mile.
A mile inland. That sounds risky for an animal adapted to the shore.
It is. It's a perilous journey, exposing them to different risks when they're focused on nesting. Finding these safe, sandy spots is critical, and they're often a limited resource, which adds another layer of complexity to their lives, balancing those land and sea needs.
Okay, so given this extreme lifestyle, diving into cold water, clinging to rocks, how are they actually built for this? What are their sort of aquatic superpowers?
Superpowers is a good way to put it. They are incredibly well equipped. Their main engine in the water is that tail. It's long, really muscular, and flattened side to side like an oar or a rudder. They swim with this powerful sort of eel-like S-shaped motion of their body and tail. Very efficient. They tuck their legs in tight.
And those claws. They look pretty serious.
They are. But not really for fighting. Those long, sharp claws are like nature's grappling hooks. Absolutely essential for gripping onto slippery, wave-battered volcanic rocks while they're trying to eat. Without them, they'd just get washed away.
Okay, so they can hold on tight. What about eating the algae itself?
Their face is perfectly designed for it. They have this short, blunt snout and rows of tiny but really sharp, 3-pointed teeth. They call them tricuspid teeth. They're like little scrapers, perfect for shearing algae right off the rock surface, even in strong surge.
Wow. Specialized tools for a specialized diet? And how long can they actually stay down there? You said the water's cold.
Their breath holding is seriously impressive. A normal feeding dive might only be a few minutes, maybe 5 or 10. but they can stay submerged for much longer if needed. 30, 40 minutes is quite common.
40 minutes?
Yep. And there are even reliable reports of them staying under for a full hour.
An hour? How is that even possible for a reptile?
It's amazing, isn't it? And the big ones, usually the large males, they're the deep explorers. They can dive down 20, even 30 meters. That's like 65 to almost 100 feet to get to the best algae beds.
100 feet down?
Yeah. The smaller females and the younger ones tend to stick closer to the surface in the intertidal zone, often feeding when the tide is out. It's just too cold for them to go that deep for long.
Okay, but still, even 30, 40 minutes. How do they manage that? It can't just be big lungs.
No, it's much more complex than that. They have some incredible physiological tricks up their sleeve. Like marine mammals, actually. They have a powerful diving reflex. When they submerge, their heart rate can slow down dramatically. It's called bradycardia.
Bradycardia. Okay, how slow?
It can drop from maybe 40 beats per minute on land down to as low as 10 beats per minute underwater.
10? Wow.
Yeah, it drastically cuts down on their oxygen consumption. At the same time, they do something called peripheral vasoconstriction. They basically shut off or greatly reduce blood flow to their limbs and other non-essential organs. This shunts the oxygen-rich blood to where it's needed most, the brain and the heart.
Keeping the core systems running.
Exactly. And on top of that, their blood itself is special. They have a type of hemoglobin, the molecule that carries oxygen, that has a much higher affinity for oxygen than their land lizard relatives. So they can load up more oxygen with each breath and use it more efficiently.
So it's a whole suite of internal adjustments: slower heart, rerouted blood, better oxygen storage.
Incredible. It really is a complete biological toolkit, all evolved to let this reptile make a living in the cold ocean.
Okay, they've solved the cold, they've solved the breath holding.
Mhm.
But what about the salt? Eating seaweed and swallowing seawater must mean they ingest a ton of salt. Isn't that dangerous?
Ah, yes, the salt problem. For most land animals, that would be fatal, leading to dehydration. But marine iguanas have maybe their most famous adaptation for this.
Let me guess. The sneezing.
You got it. The famous salt sneeze. It's brilliant. They have these highly specialized salt glands located in their head, just above their eyes, and they drain out through the nostrils.
So like built-in desalination unit.
Precisely. These glands are incredibly efficient at filtering excess salt ions out of the iguana's blood. They concentrate it into this really, really salty fluid. Then, when the glands are full, PFT, they forcefully expel it as a fine mist or spray from their nostrils. It genuinely looks and sounds like they're sneezing out salt.
And I've heard this happens so often they get crusty heads.
That's right. The expelled salt often dries and crystallizes on their snouts and the top of their heads, giving many of them this distinctive white or grayish coating. Looks like a little salty wig.
A salt wig. That's amazing. What a solution. Just sneeze the problem away.
It's incredibly effective. Allows them to drink seawater and eat salty algae with no ill effects.
Okay, salt sneezing is cool. But I read about something even more mind-blowing. Something about them shrinking.
Ah, yes. The incredible shrinking iguana. It's one of the most astonishing things, really. Yeah. Almost defies belief.
So what happens?
During times of serious food scarcity, like during a really strong El Niño event when the algae dies off, these lizards can actually shrink their entire body length.
Not just lose weight, but get shorter.
Exactly. They can reduce their total length by up to 20%.
20%. That sounds impossible. Can you give me an analogy?
Okay, imagine a person who's 6 feet tall shrinking down to less than 5 feet tall, and then later growing back to 6 feet.
What? How on earth do they do that? Are they eating their own tails?
Not quite their tails. The current thinking is that they actually reabsorb calcium and other minerals from their own bones. They essentially carefully consume parts of their own skeleton to conserve energy.
They eat their own bones. Wow. Why? What's the advantage?
A smaller body simply needs less energy to survive, less food. When food is incredibly hard to find, being smaller makes you more efficient. You need fewer calories just to stay alive. And studies have actually confirmed this. The iguanas that shrink the most during these famine periods have the best chance of surviving.
And then they just grow back.
Yeah. When the good algae returns after the El Niño passes, they start feeding again and they regrow the bone, returning to their original size.
That is absolutely extraordinary. It's like planned deconstruction for survival. Evolution is just, wow.
It really pushes the boundaries, doesn't it? Shows how incredibly flexible life can be when the pressure is on. It's a profound adaptation.
Okay, so they have these incredible tools: salt sneezing, shrinking, diving physiology. But they still face huge threats, right? It's not an easy life.
Not at all. Despite all that amazing adaptation, they live on a knife edge sometimes. The single biggest natural threat is probably the El Niño cycle itself.
We mentioned that causing food shortages. How bad can it get?
Really bad. When a strong El Niño hits, the warm, nutrient-poor water essentially sterilizes their underwater pastures. The algae they rely on just dies off or gets replaced by types they can't eat. This leads to widespread starvation. In really severe events, populations on some islands have crashed by 70, 80, even 90%.
90%. That's almost wiped out.
It's devastating. The largest iguanas, the big males needing the most food, are often the hardest hit. They're the first to go.
And this is natural, but is it getting worse?
That's the big concern. While El Niño is a natural cycle they've evolved with, there's growing evidence that human-induced climate change might be making these extreme events more frequent and more intense. If these massive die-offs happen more often, it becomes harder and harder for the populations to fully recover in between, potentially pushing them towards long-term decline.
So climate change is amplifying their natural challenges. What about more direct human impacts? Oil spills.
Yes, oil spills are another major danger. There was a significant one back in 2001 when the tanker Jessica grounded near San Cristobal Island. Initially, people thought the impact wasn't too severe, but studies later on Santa Fe Island, which got hit by the oil, showed a shocking 62% mortality rate among the marine iguanas there in the year following the spill.
62%. Was it from direct poisoning?
That's what's so interesting. It wasn't primarily direct toxicity.
Yeah.
The oil contamination killed off the essential microorganisms living in the iguana's guts.
The microbes they need to digest the algae.
Exactly. So even though there might have been some algae around, the iguanas couldn't digest it properly. They essentially starved to death with full stomachs because their internal gut flora was destroyed by the oil components.
Oh, that's awful. And incredibly sensitive.
It really highlights how vulnerable they are, and it makes them a fantastic sentinel species. Their health, or lack thereof, is like an early warning signal for the health of the entire marine ecosystem. If the iguanas are struggling, it tells us something serious is wrong.
A living barometer for the ocean.
Precisely. And it's not just oil. Plastic pollution is a growing problem everywhere, including the Galápagos. The islands unfortunately act like catchments for marine debris. Iguanas can accidentally eat microplastics along with algae or get entangled in larger plastic items like fishing nets or bags. Researchers have even found synthetic fibers, likely from clothing washed into the sea, inside iguana samples.
Oh. And then there are the predators they never evolved with.
Right, what you call the alien invasion. That's a huge issue, especially for eggs and young iguanas. Remember, they evolved for millions of years with almost no land predators. So when humans arrived, bringing cats, dogs, rats, pigs, these introduced animals found an easy food source.
They raid the nests.
Yeah, feral cats, dogs, pigs, they dig up the nests and eat the eggs. Rats are a big problem too. And cats and dogs also prey on the small, vulnerable hatchlings when they make that dangerous run from the nest to the sea. They just have no natural defenses against these new threats.
It sounds like they're facing threats from climate, pollution, and introduced species. A triple whammy. Is anything being done to help them?
Oh, absolutely. There are significant conservation efforts in place, thankfully. The vast majority of their habitat is protected within the Galápagos National Park and the Marine Reserve, which is crucial. And modern science is playing a really exciting role. There's this fantastic project called Iguanas from Above.
Drones.
Exactly. They use drones launched from boats to fly along the coastlines and take thousands of high-resolution photos. It's way faster, safer for the researchers. Climbing those volcanic cliffs is tricky and much less disturbing to the iguanas than trying to count them by walking the coastline.
That makes sense. But analyzing thousands of photos must take forever.
It would, which is where something really cool happens, citizen science. You can actually help.
Oh.
The project uploads all those drone images to a website called Zooniverse. It's the world's biggest platform for people-powered science. Anyone, anywhere in the world can log on, look at the photos, and help count the iguanas. They also help identify other animals, nests, even spot plastic pollution in the images.
Wow. So thousands of volunteers are helping scientists get a handle on iguana populations.
Yep. Over 11,000 volunteers have participated so far. It's this incredible collaboration between technology and people power that makes it possible to get really accurate, large-scale population estimates for all the different subspecies across the islands, something a small research team could never do alone.
That's amazing. A way for anyone listening to directly contribute to saving these unique animals.
It really is fantastic. And besides the drones, scientists are using other cutting-edge techniques too, like analyzing DNA from their droppings' fecal samples to figure out exactly what types of algae they're eating and how their diet changes. It's called DNA metabarcoding. They also monitor stress hormones in blood samples, which can give a quick snapshot of how stressed or healthy a population is overall. So it's a really multi-pronged approach using technology and biology to keep tabs on them and inform conservation actions.
It's just incredible to track their journey in our understanding, isn't it? From Darwin being actively repulsed, calling them imps of darkness, to becoming this global icon of evolution and adaptation.
Totally. And here's that fun pop culture connection again. Their look, right? That spiky crest, the powerful build, the slightly intimidating face.
Yeah.
That was apparently the direct inspiration for the original Godzilla.
No way. The marine iguana inspired Godzilla. That's brilliant.
True story, apparently. So they went from imp to movie monster inspiration.
That's quite a promotion. And beyond inspiring giant movie monsters, they're actually really important economically for the Galapagos people today, aren't they?
Hugely important. Ecotourism is the main driver of the Galapagos economy. And the marine iguana is one of the absolute star attractions, one of the big 15 iconic species tourists come to see.
So people travel across the world to see these imps of darkness.
Exactly. And the money generated from that tourism helps fund the conservation work, like controlling those invasive species we talked about, managing the park, research. It creates this positive feedback loop where appreciating the iguanas helps protect them.
That's great to hear.
And stepping back to that bigger picture again, remember the sentinel species idea.
The early warning system for the ocean.
Right. Their survival, their population numbers, their health, it all reflects what's happening in the surrounding ocean. Temperature changes from El Nino and climate change, overall productivity of the ecosystem, levels of pollution from things like oil or plastic. The iguanas register all of it. So protecting them isn't just about saving a unique lizard. It directly ties into global efforts like the UN's Sustainable Development Goal 14, which is all about conserving and sustainably using our oceans, seas, and marine resources. They are a living indicator of our progress, or lack thereof, on that goal.
So really, the fate of this unique lizard on its remote islands tells us a lot about the health of our entire blue planet. Their story is our story, in a way. Why? We've covered so much ground today exploring the absolutely remarkable life of the marine iguana. From those harsh volcanic shores into the surprisingly cold ocean, and even into the cloud, helping scientists through citizen science. What an incredible creature. It just reminds you how astonishing adaptation can be, and that just surviving each day can be this complex, fascinating adventure.
Absolutely. Their story goes way beyond just being a strange lizard. It's this living lesson in evolution's power, a real-time indicator of our planet's health, and honestly, still a bit of a puzzle in some ways. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What else is out there? What other biological magic is happening that we haven't even discovered yet? I mean, seriously, an animal that can shrink its own skeleton on demand and sneeze salt? It's just mind-bending.
Yeah.
The natural world is full of surprises.
It truly is. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this amazing exploration today on Saltwater Stories. We hope you, our listeners, feel a bit more connected to these incredible creatures and maybe just a little more awestruck by the wonders hiding in our oceans and on our shores. Until our next journey together, keep asking questions and keep exploring.
Stay curious, everyone. There's always more to discover in the amazing world around us.